The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah! Go Cowboys!
This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign, trusted by over 500 NFL players for their winning smiles, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now, your host, Nicole Hutchison.
Good morning, Cowboys Nation. Welcome in to Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Brianna Aldridge, Christy Scales, and Aisha Morrison. And we're just going to go straight to it, ladies. It's not even a good morning just because the Cowboys organization, hell, us, we are mourning the loss of Cowboys' second-year defensive end, Marshawn Kneeland, who tragically took his own life last week. And I don't think we need to get into the reports of Frisco Police Department just yet, but I do want to take the time to honor Marshawn Kneeland's life and a special tribute right off the top of the show. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
The Dallas Cowboys select Marshawn Kneeland, defensive end from Western Michigan.
Let me go out here. Let me do a little more, you know what I'm saying? Then you look over, Dono, he out here spicing it up, and you got Tay out here doing what he do, and it's like, okay, we got all these guys that's just out here making plays and make you feel, okay, now let me go get something, you know what I mean? So it's all great.
And Marshawn Kneeland will cover it for a touchdown.
I hurt heavy heart today. I hurt for Marshawn, I hurt for his family, I hurt for his girlfriend. I heard for every single one of my teammates. It's just a pain that.
It's all right. We got some technical difficulties, but it's all right. I don't even know where to begin, y'all. Marshawn was good kid. Losing him at 24. I mean, you go into the room and he literally is that bright spot. And unfortunately, the Cowboys no longer have him here. Ladies, go ahead and chime in because I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this one. So I'm going to need y'all's help today.
Yeah, he was always bright and jolly, always had the smile and seemed lighthearted. And that's why when you hear that it was self-inflicted, that to me, what was truly shocking was because those, I think a lot of the public that doesn't have a lot of, hopefully most people have not had to deal with this kind of tragedy, but you think people would be brooding into themselves and sad and morose. And Marshawn was on the exterior to those, tangentially around him, it was just the opposite. And so that's what caught me so off guard. I don't know if y'all felt the same way.
Yeah, I was avoiding this podcast because I knew this was something we would have to get through. It was something you were hoping that wasn't true, like Christy said, to think of it being self-inflicted. I'm thinking of the quote I saw from Solomon Thomas saying that, he wished his teammate would have known how much that they wanted him to stay. Being in this situation, you just start to see so many people in the community, some people that have been covering this beat for so long starting to share their stories. And I think that's what Marshawn Kneeland has done for this DFW community, is opened up conversations. We know Dak Prescott, Solomon Thomas are advocates of mental health, and this is why, because it is real. Mental health is something that, especially when we're talking about men, Black men don't talk about a lot. It's not, I know there was reports and they were like, why would he do this? It's being close to this topic and being affected by this, losing a parent to this just a few years ago. I can tell you firsthand, it's never one thing. It leads up to it. And I think the hard part is thinking about his family. Like we heard Dak just say, his girlfriend, right, his family. I know the questions that come is, what could I have done better? Things like that. Because like I said, it's not just it's never just one moment. This is leading up to it, and it's always the people you never would expect. And I think that's what's shocking the table. It's always the strong people, the smiley people. I remember talking to Solomon Thomas about his sister. He said that she could always light up a room, and she was never shy, and she would go up to people. Like, he's the totally opposite of like who he was, right? And I think that's the hard part, and it's so relatable because he's younger than all of us here at this table. I have brothers a year older than him, you know. I think that's the hard part, and he's gonna be missed.
Yeah, and Solomon's sister was the same age as Marshawn when she left us.
Yeah, when you talk about, you know, not thinking, not knowing what people are going through, and you also, you know, you ladies have both mentioned is that it's always the people that are smiling, that are bubbly, that light up the room. And it's so interesting because I can even talk about the football aspect of it. Is the first time I watched Marshawn on film, you see the relentlessness, like the pursuit to the ball, the no quit on him, like in how he plays. And, you know, him coming out as an edge defender, one of the better edge defenders against the run, that's a want to. So even going into like the football part of it is that's what he displayed on the field. That's who he was. It's this person that doesn't quit. But then also too, or doesn't just always keeps going. And so then when you look at it on the outside of things now with this situation, you say, well, you really just can never know in that sense, like Bree was saying. It's just not just one thing. And so as a veteran, I take this very seriously as someone that has served, that has unfortunately experienced this on a multitude of levels. And it's just, for me, it was a reminder that, like, I can't run from the reality of it in that sense, is that, you know, coming out of the military and then coming into this work, I kind of thought I was getting away from it. And I think this whole conversation, this whole situation, unfortunate situation, has sparked up conversations about intersectionality, about race, about culture, about economics, about gender norms, as, you know, Bree just mentioned. And I think, you know, with us having this conversation is delicate, but I think we got to be really honest about it. I don't think we can skate past certain details regarding this conversation, especially as it pertains to a league that is a very diverse league. And that when I was in the military, we used to say, like, when I take this uniform off, I am who I am. I'm green right now, but when I take it off, I am who I am. And I think that's something we have to remember with these gentlemen when they come in here and they put on that star and they put on these uniforms, is that they are still, you know, their childhoods, where they grew up, their family back home, their lived experiences. And, you know, I feel like, you know, I think it's healthy that we're having these conversations, but I really hope that people are looking inward and also really looking outward at, like, who these players are as people, and looking at them as people, which is something that we do on this podcast, and that we continue to do that, and that this is a reminder that we have to look at them as people.
I think
as well.
You think you bring up a good point, as like even media. I feel like, and we can keep it a buck here, some people forget that these players, like you mentioned, do have stories and have lives outside of football. And I think that's why I love that, you know, we all of us ladies, including myself, we pride ourselves on going into that locker room, and of course we get the football information. Of course we, you know, ask those good questions, but we also go up to those players and say, like, and, you know, I'll speak for myself. I say, like, Marshawn, how are you? You know, or Wanye, how are you doing today? Like, how's your family? How's your kid? How's your, you know, girlfriend? Or things like that, because it's not always about what happened against the Broncos, y'all. Like, what's good?
Yeah.
No, it's about getting to know, you know, how these players are doing outside of the field. And unfortunately, like, you know, Kneeland was just somebody who was just like, it's all good, you know, I'm all good. Like, but I do want to, you know, I put this out on social media, but I want to thank him. Like, he was somebody that I could go to and ask questions. Like,
no question was a dumb question. And I appreciated that, like, even the conversations about his girlfriend or, you know, him trying to get me to watch anime. Never going to do it. Sorry. Still to this day, not going to do it. From someone who, like, I could literally go see him in the training table and just be like, what's up? You know, breakfast, lunch, whatever. He was special, but I also want to play this interview that I did with him for 1st and 10 after he got his first career sack, and he kind of shed a light on his mommy. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
The Dallas Cowboys select
Sorry. All right, now let's take a listen.
Like, shoot, I could tell you this, like, looking back at it, I was like, okay, we was kind of poor, like, growing up, but we was kind of poor. We wasn't poor, but we was, like, looking back, I'm like, some of the things that happened, I'm like, thinking about it, you know what I'm saying? But moms, she never complained, never talked about it, never stressed, gave us everything we needed and more, and, you know, every day got up to work regardless of what happened, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, she was one of them where it's like, and I believe me, she had stuff going on, and obviously I ain't gonna tell her business here, but she had a lot going on from when she was like 15 all the way until, you know, the very end. Always had a lot going on. So, you know what I'm saying? Just think about her memory and stuff like that. Like, she never showed us, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
She think about it, like, she never showed us anything, you know what I'm saying? So she never she every day came with a smile, came with love, gave us time, working full time, still taking care of 2 kids pretty much by herself. And you know what I'm saying? It's like you putting a world on her shoulder and looking at us with a smile on her face, and we'll never know, you know what I'm saying? So it's stuff like that, like, I thought about and still do. And just like, okay, probably without a shadow of
And for those who don't know, he did lose his mom, Wendy Kneeland, about a year ago. And the year before that, his grandfather passed away as well. So he's dealt with quite a lot of loss. And shout out to Dallas Morning News for speaking with some family members. I know his cousin had mentioned that, you know, he never really dealt with the grieving part of losing his mom. So we officially don't know yet, but I truly believe that could have been, you know, maybe the reason why he did what he did. But you know, ladies, thoughts on?
And she passed away right before the combine, and it was an accidental overdose of painkillers, according to the front page story written by Lauren at Dallas Morning News. So obviously very unexpected, and they believe it was a mistake in filling them with prescription, so overprescribed. I'm sorry, not overprescribed, but what she received was a larger dosage, and so very unexpected. And so here's the time where he's trying to make the biggest jump of his life career-wise from college to pros. You have the combine, and obviously performed well enough there, even in that situation, that he merits a second-round pick. And then a month later, when it should be the highest of highs, is you get selected by the Cowboys and start your career, and you have other family and friends. He's one of 4 children, has 2 sisters and brother, you know, siblings, but not there to share it with his mom and his grandpa. And then you're moving. And from Michigan, he's from Grand Rapids, and you move from Michigan to Dallas, and he had known his girlfriend. They had met in college, but you're not surrounded by the same number of family support members. You know, your families, most of them were in Michigan, presumably. So yeah, that's a tough transition into play, and he played a lot as a rookie, right? And big role and played so well, but that's a lot of pressure, whether from media, fans, social media. But when you have these guys that reach this level of play, they've been overachievers their entire lives, right? Always the best on their team, but just a lot of self-imposed pressure as well, right? To be the best and come in as a young guy and contribute to the team. So the loss of his mom and his grandpa. It's not just that they were gone, but the timing and just what it must have meant in terms of, all of the changes and the pressures as he began his new career. I can't imagine what that would be like, because there are very few people in the world, and you're surrounded by people who've gone through similar things in the locker room. But I think Bree's point is right. When these young guys, it's hard to talk about things like that, and that's why guys like Solomon Thomas and Dak Prescott have devoted so many resources with their respective foundations to help address mental health and suicide prevention, and just letting everybody know that it's okay to not be okay and to talk about it. But the resources are there, but you have to be used, and they have to be used, and it's hard to understand what's inside a person's head. And that's what, again, so shocking about Marshawn. You would think he just had the highest high of his career, scoring that touchdown, and 2 nights later, things changed so dramatically.
Yeah, the highest of highs. And for Marshawn Kneeland playing for the Dallas Cowboys, I think we understand it a little bit because we're here, but there's 32 teams in the NFL, but this one's a little bit different. This one holds a little bit more when you're talking about eyes on you. And this is someone who, I remember talking to him about when Sam Williams went down, and he said, I looked and I said, I never want that to happen to my teammates, but it also was like a wake-up call, like, oh, damn, like, I know what that means going forward for myself. Someone thinking I'm going to have some time to get adjusted. And he really didn't have that time. He was in there, and he was a starting player. And, of course, his injury and things like that happened. But I remember also sitting there his rookie year in Oxnard, and I'm, like, how excited are you? Or are you going to have a big, fan base, family coming into town? And to your point, Christy, and it hits more now than it did then, when he kind of was just like, no, not a ton. My girlfriend will be there for sure. And then kind of just moved on to the next question. It didn't even didn't even hit until, things like this. And I think that's like all the little pieces start to add up, like Nicole's point about his mom coming into, playing for the Dallas Cowboys, having to move, not having the same type of support. And I think, speaking for myself again, with these big moments that are coming with the person that I lost, it's like they're not there for the big moments. There's certain moments I don't look forward to anymore because of that person no longer there. But again, I think Dak and Solomon Thomas, they're the good part of what's happening, and I know they're going to be heavily involved. Just hearing from Dak, his initial response the day of how this was affecting him. But I also think that there just has to be more conversations, and there has to be uncomfortable conversations. Even myself, the first year that it happened, I never said how that person died. I just, they're like, oh, people want to know typically, and it just wasn't something that I talked about until I started realizing how many more people around me actually have been through similar things. And I think seeing and listening to some courageous people who cover the Cowboys honestly share their stories was eye-opening, because these are guys that I'm with all the time and joking around, and they're unserious in my mind. And then, they're actually sharing stories and as men, talking about how hard it is for them to talk about, or ashamed they felt, or dealt with stuff in the quiet. And I think that's the hard part of just having those conversations is a start. And that's what Marshawn's death is doing for everyone.
What you got? You got nothing?
Yeah, I'm just taking it all in. I'm just taking in, everyone's emotions and what everyone is feeling. Chrissy, I think you mentioned something about, him, the combine, losing his mom, all of those things. And the isolation also, too, is important. And I want to also mention the isolation during injury and what injury does for guys, especially when you talk about ACL. When you talk about, we look at a person like a DeMarvion Overshown and we're just like, oh, like he's just,
Like
he goes through his rehab so seamlessly. He's excited every time you see him. He's lighting up the room. But there is another side of injury, and I think we also experienced that a little bit with Jordan Lewis the other year, where he had that major foot injury,
Career-threatening.
and it was to a point to where the coaches had to go check up on him. Injury is isolating as well.
Yeah.
Rehab is isolating as well. And through those times also, where we're not talking about these guys as much, where they're not factors on the field, we need to also keep in mind the isolation associated with the injury, with the having to move away from your family. And Christy, you mentioned the kind of self-inflicted pressures. There's a lot of outside pressure. Like, let's keep it 1,000. A lot of these gentlemen are first generation college graduates or college attendees.
Yep.
Pressure. A lot of these gentlemen are first generation guys that are above the poverty line. Pressure. There's so many conversations to be had within this one conversation that I think matter when it comes to talking about not only societal norms, but the norms that we place on these players and what they're expected to be and how they're expected to show up and come up to the podium and say all the right things. And even at the combine, getting to experience that is a very stressful week for those players. I mean, I remember getting to go and talk to some of those guys, and it is high-stakes stress, and they feel it very heavily. And so with that, all of that in mind, I just feel like as we, close this conversation, is that as analysts, as reporters, as anyone that covers the sport, it's our job to remember those elements of things, even in our analysis. Can we be honest? Absolutely. Can we hold people accountable? Absolutely. But there's elements of the game that we don't see, because even to the point of his mom passing, you know how many people didn't know that?
That's crazy.
Do you know how many people are just now finding that out? And there's nothing wrong with, obviously, everyone's not going to be informed. But with that in mind, the MCL injury last year, him kind of trying to battle back this year, if you knew that, how would you handle the situation? How would you analyze the edge room? How would you talk about those things? So I think it's important for us to go the extra mile to be informed so we can be better moving forward, and that we continue to make sure that we have integrity with our reporting and with how we talk about this game, and to humanize this game as we talk about this game that we love so much.
I have a note from when he first came in. I mean, you see it, Aisha can look at it right here,
right
and
now.
it was from his rookie year, and he wore a necklace with ashes.
Yeah, his mommy
Around, and so I had a note, and it's like, guys wear jewelry during games, and I mean, some of them, the chains, or I mean, you can't miss them. But I had a note to ask him if he would actually wear that during the games. I mean, I wouldn't think so. What if something broke? And so, but I always felt funny. It's like, I don't want to ask him about his mother's death. And so not now. I mean, I don't really know him yet. And that was from the rookie year. So it's like, oh, I'll wait. And it's like,
Yeah.
gosh. So it's okay to pick a time to ask about that, because you're right. I love what you said about, getting to know, we can share our opinions if someone's not playing. I'm not picking on Marshawn here. I'm just saying anybody. We say, hey, this play was missed. As long as you're fair, you can criticize a team or a player as long as you don't make it personal. But it needs to be personal, our interactions during the week, and for us, it is. I think that's what's fun. And honestly, we get away with that more because we're girls. Yeah. It's okay for girls. Hey, how's your baby doing? Or hey, how's your new? How's
and that goes back to the conversation that we're having right now.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's fun, and we can do that more because we're girls. And my whole career covering the team, it's always been like that. But don't bring that, in the criticism. Don't make it personal, but use the personal part to get to know people and let them know that you care about them beyond what they do on the field.
I want to say thank God we have Shotty. Nick Harris actually mention that too as well. But thank goodness we do have a coach like Shotty that since day one, I mean, probably even when he was OC, but since day one he became the head coach, he prioritized family and making sure that he checks on his guys every single day. So I do want to make sure that we note that. And, you know, shout out to the NFL for doing moments of silence for Marshawn Kneeland in his honor. So definitely wanted to make sure we threw that out there. But also, Marshawn Kneeland, you are missed. You were loved here. You were loved everywhere. And rest in peace, young king. We're going to take our first break here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
How does the cheerleader's hair always look so perfect? We asked, and they shared one of their biggest beauty secrets. If you want hair like theirs and confidence to match, use Babyliss Pro styling tools. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders use Babyliss Pro curling irons to get those perfect game day curls. To get the hair you see on the cheerleaders, head to BabylissPro.com. Use the code Cowboys20 for 20% off Babyliss Pro tools, the official styling tools of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Get the discount while it lasts. Offer may be withdrawn at any time at advertiser's discretion.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
All right, Cowboys fans, this one's for us. If the men in your life bleed blue and silver like we do, I've found the perfect way to elevate their game day rituals. Gillette just released their best razor in Cowboys colors, and it is everything a Cowboys fan could want. The new Gillette Labs official Dallas Cowboys licensed razor combines his Cowboys pride with Gillette's best shave. And with 50% longer lasting blades, it is truly the gift that keeps on giving. Get it while you can at Gillette.com/NFL. Gillette's best shave is also available as heated.
All right, welcome back into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign in the SWBC studio. Nicole Hutchison, Brianna Aldridge, Christy Scales, and Aisha Morrison. And Christy, I'm going to go throw it to you straight off the bat. How has this team dealt with situations like this? Because it's not something that's easy.
Yeah, Marcus Paul, the strength and conditioning coach, that was back in 2012. It was a Tuesday morning between the Sunday game leading into the Thanksgiving Day game, and early in the morning, and people arrive, I'd say between like 6 and 6:30 to maybe do their lifts, some of them before the first team meeting of the day, and Marcus had collapsed and taken to the hospital and passed away, and beloved by, and that's the thing about the strength and conditioning coaches, they work with everybody on the team, right? Offense, defense, practice squad guys, and that was such a shock. But the one that was most different was in 2012, the situation where Josh Brent, the defensive tackle for the Cowboys, was involved in a car crash, and his teammate from University of Illinois, and who had just signed to the Cowboys practice squad 2 weeks earlier, Jerry Brown, was killed in that crash, and it had happened overnight. It was a Friday night into an early Saturday morning, and we literally were on the plane. This was the second game after the Thanksgiving game, going to Cincinnati, both teams needing a win to try and stay in the playoff picture, and Cincinnati was favored in that game. And we literally are on the plane wondering why, haven't taken off yet. And everyone but the players and coaches and the staff, like the equipment managers and the like, were asked to deboard the plane. So we literally got off the plane and were standing on the tarmac. And that's when I remember Mike Ducey from Fox 4 saw, he looked at his phone and said, uh-oh. And meanwhile, Jason Garrett, who was head coach at the time, was telling everybody on the plane, using the announce thing over the plane, to say that there was the accident and Josh was hospitalized and Jerry had passed away. And the league doesn't stop. I can talk later if you want about what happened with 9/11. You know, they delayed games by one weekend. We ended up having to make up that game in January. But the league doesn't stop, and that's the thing about this week is the players are having to come back off of a bye week and prepare for the Raiders while also mourning the loss of a teammate. And I don't know yet about services and how. I'll be real honest, behind the scenes here at the Star, we're all kind of in a holding pattern as to what the schedule is going to be for this week. We honestly don't know. And I think that they're obviously waiting for clarity with the situations and how services for Marshawn. If they do know, that they've just found out and are getting the word out. But yeah, that's the tough part about this week. But what happened with the game in Cincinnati, we all got back on the plane, and by then everyone knew what was going on. It was obviously very somber, and went to Cincinnati. And those of us who've been around a long time and covered all of Jason Garrett's career from the time he was a third-string quarterback to his time as head coach would say that was probably his finest moment with the Cowboys. Was the Cowboys got the upset win, won 20-19. I think that was the final score there in Cincinnati. And the Cowboys ultimately didn't make the playoffs that year, but stayed with it. But they took Josh's and Jerry's jerseys and hung them in the locker there in Cincinnati, and then Jerry's locker here as a practice squad member through the remainder of the season. So that was so unusual. But again, as tragic as things are, the league plays on, and you're expected to deal with it. And that's what they're going to have to do. But at least now the players and the coaches are together. Whereas when this happened last week, Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, most people had already dispersed. It's the only time that guys get to go home or, and leave and have, 4 or 5 consecutive days off. And so a lot of them had already left.
I can't even imagine how those guys feel. Yeah, because, and I feel like I told Aisha this when we were on the phone, you're already dealing with, ups and downs of the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then your own personal things that you're dealing with in your own life. And then you get this, little bit of life with, the Cowboys trade for Quinnen Williams, and we get some new pieces. And, so obviously there was a lot of excitement in the locker room where, even Dak was like, man, I'm pumped. Can't curse on the show. But, and then you get news that your brother, for some best friend, passed away. How do you even move forward with that? Because, I get it, the
together.
season. Yeah, because I get it. It's the league doesn't stop, but, mentally,
I think that goes back into what Christy just said. The league doesn't stop. It I say,
but sometimes that's good. You've got to get back in. And
what people saying is that life keeps going, and I don't know about you guys, but me being at work and being so busy, I was covering the story, and it really didn't hit me till I was by myself, driving. And then tears started coming down my eyes. But I had gone the whole day at work, moving. And I think I'm glad these guys are back in the building together. To Nicole's point, have a coach like Brian Schottenheimer that everyone's more than confident that he's going to handle this the right way. And I know there's some people, eager to hear more and ask the questions. But I'm very happy that Shotty's going to take care of his players first. I know that 110%. Into just thinking about the league going, I remember sitting there when Damar Hamlin's heart stopped for 2 minutes on the field. I'd never heard such a stadium go silent. And again, bawling my eyes out. This is a man that, you know, I've worked with closely, thinking that that I just watched him go, because we were kind of, they put us in the tunnel. So we weren't even in the press box. There was no TVs, you know, everybody had gone to commercial. I think it was Lisa was covering the game, kind of giving some updates, doing excellent reporting that night. But I think they went out for like a snap, and we were like, how are we going to cover this game? And then they ended up postponing it and rescheduling and things like that. But yeah, this is it's sick. It's a business. Like,
well, that's what I was about to say. I agree. It's like the league doesn't stop. You know, and you saying that, it just stood out so much to me, because I just remember standing in formations after we found a soldier, and you gotta keep going. And whereas I agree with you, Christy, I understand that for some people, staying busy, staying occupied is, you know, is a way to like not think about it, but
then you have the quiet time.
Yeah, you have the quiet time, and then you have the reality of, do you think these guys don't know that the league doesn't stop? Do you think that these guys don't know that when they retire or when they get injured or things, or they fall off, this game is going to keep going without them? And the reality of that, and sitting in that. And I just feel like the league doesn't stop as though it could be positive. I feel like when you say it out loud, it sounds incredibly disassociate of the reality of this being people's lives.
Well, and I just would like to follow up, because I mentioned Josh Brent and longtime Cowboy fans. Hard to believe that was 13 years ago, but fans remember that incident happened. Josh ended up having to serve time. He came back in his career. He actually played again, but here's the end of the story. Josh Brent works for the Cowboys. His office is just right just there, you know, about 60 yards away that way on the second floor in scouting. So and a lot of people don't realize that with the support of the team, with teammates, and a lot of want to himself. I mean, he was college teammates. That was like one of his best friends. And the first thing that happened was that, because they had the service for Jerry Brown, and Josh was right there, and his mother forgave him. I mean, they were great friends growing up. From college, very close. And you know, with that forgiveness and the support of the organization and friends and family, and Josh has really continued to make something of his life and contributes to the team now as a member of the scouting department.
All right, we're going to take our second break right here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, and keep shining a light on Marshawn Kneeland up next here on the show.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
How does the cheerleader's hair always look so perfect? We asked, and they shared one of their biggest beauty secrets. If you want hair like theirs and confidence to match, use Babyliss Pro styling tools. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders use Babyliss Pro curling irons to get those perfect game day curls. To get the hair you see on the cheerleaders, head to BabylissPro.com. Use the code Cowboys20 for 20% off Babyliss Pro tools, the official styling tools of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Get the discount while it lasts. Offer may be withdrawn at any time at advertiser's discretion.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
All right, Cowboys fans, this one's for us. If the men in your life bleed blue and silver like we do, I've found the perfect way to elevate their game day rituals. Gillette just released their best razor in Cowboys colors, and it is everything a Cowboys fan could want. The new Gillette Labs official Dallas Cowboys licensed razor combines his Cowboys pride with Gillette's best shave. And with 50% longer lasting blades, it is truly the gift that keeps on giving. Get it while you can at Gillette.com/NFL. Gillette's best shave is also available as heated.
Celebrate the season at Cowboys Christmas Extravaganza powered by Reliant at the Star in Frisco. Join us every Friday and Saturday night from November 21st to December 20th for an electrifying holiday performance. For details, visit thestardistrict.com.
All right, welcome back into Girls Talk Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign in the SWBC studio. Nicole Hutchison, Brianna Aldridge, Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison, and we're wrapping up the show. But first, I do want to ask y'all a question. Do y'all have a favorite memory of Kneeland? Interaction?
Yeah, actually it was more his second year. So this past summer, it was in Oxnard, and the guys will go and they'll sign autographs leaving the field or coming on the field, and most of the time the fans are yelling for the star players and stuff like that. And it was funny because Kneeland, when he was signing autographs this year, he's walking off and he's like, "They know my name this year. They know my name this year." Instead of 894, So just the smile on his face, and he just kind of laughing like, "Oh yeah, they know my name this year."
I love it.
That's cool. I would say his rookie season, because it was my rookie season too, and I don't know who was more nervous, me or him, during the interview. I think he might have been I want to say he was my second sit down that I had, but I was like, my palms are kind of sweaty, and I'm still learning this team. I think it was literally like my third week when they sent me to Oxnard, like living in Dallas. Like I was living in a hotel at the time, so I'm sitting there with Kneeland, and I remember after I was talking to my photographer, I was like, I like him. I was like, because some guys, they're all business, and you got to kind of peel to get something, but like straight out of the gate, I just remember every question that I had, the answer, he had like that little, and you sat down with him, Nicole, he has like that little laugh, like after, it don't matter what he'll be like, yeah. And I was like, what? So that's
not even funny.
It's not, but I laugh because he's laughing, and it makes the atmosphere, the conversation, more, like he boosted my confidence early. So we were two rookies, I think, figuring it out. That's how I look at it. That's how I'll remember him.
My favorite memory of him is sitting in this chair on the draft show, and we had a segment like, who's a player that you don't want a team in the division to draft?
Ooh.
And I was like, hey, I don't want to see Marshawn Kneeland twice a year because just the way that y'all, it's just like never quit to the ball. I was just like, I don't want to see him on Philly. Ick. And I remember the first time getting to talk to him outside the locker room, and I told him about that, and he was like, Me? You don't want to see me? And I was like, yeah. And then I also was like, you also look like, with your size, man, you could move inside a little bit. He was like, we're going to keep that on the low. Keep that on the down low. And just that little bit of interaction is just, like.
Always a little twinkle, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
You say, a little giggle.
Yeah, it felt like I was
Very
talking to a
goofy.
cousin. It felt like I was talking to somebody I knew. And I think that relatability was dope with him. So just laughing with him a little bit was fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna say all my interactions, but if I had to choose one, it was training camp when obviously the players come off the field. You can just grab whoever you want, and I ain't gonna lie to y'all, that was a long time ago, so I don't remember the exact question I asked, but I remember the interaction. And I'd asked him a football question, probably was a dumb one, but don't matter. But it was something along the lines that he remembered when I first came in, not first came in, but when he first interacted with me, his rookie season. And I'd asked him something stupid. And he was like, "You're starting to know ball a little bit." I was like, "Hey man, shout out to you. Shout out to you." And he was like, nah, it's not me. But it was, all my interactions have been cool with Marshawn, just from, like I mentioned earlier, seeing him in passing, even making sure I speak to him every day in locker room when they do have availability. And all y'all have had great interactions as well. So that's going to be definitely 100% missed. And, unfortunately, this was hands down the most difficult show we have had to do. But we got it. We got through it, ladies. Got through it. And, like Christy mentioned earlier, we don't really know the schedule just yet. I'm sure we'll hear something from either PR or Coach Shoddy either today, maybe not, and that's okay. I hope that, those guys and this coaching staff take the time that they need in order to heal and process this. So, yeah. Unfortunately, we gotta go.
Still gotta get ready for this dang game.
Unfortunately, we do.
A little extra time.
Yeah, a little extra time.
A sprinkle, yeah. It's like a bye. Like a bye. Not just a bye, but some extra bye-byes.
I guess we can look at it that way. A bye.
An extended bye.
All right. On that note, we're gonna see y'all tomorrow. Unfortunately, that's our for today's show.
Unfortunately, it's crazy.
Sorry.
No, fortunately,
Fortunately, I'm happy to see y'all tomorrow.
My bad.
I ain't trying to see y'all.
No. I'm happy to see y'all. It's just tough having to do that.
Yeah.
And talk about it. But no, I am happy to see y'all tomorrow. We're gonna be back here at 8 a.m. talking ball. For Brianna Aldridge, Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison, I'm Nicole Hutchison. We'll be back here tomorrow.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!